service charge from pilgrims. On the foreign scene, new protests hit Iran as alarm grows over crackdown. And in sports, Super Eagles captain to miss Nigeria-Morocco semi-final clash. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Shehu Said, and a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Now the news in full. Stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress APC in the Southeast have formally endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for a second term ahead of the 2027 general elections, pledging massive electoral support. Speaking at a regional stakeholders meeting in Enugu, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma said the Southeast must end political isolation and strengthen its relevance at the center. He cited the growing presence of the APC in the region and urged voters to support Tinubu to consolidate ongoing economic and security reforms. The former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC and former governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has returned to the country after spending several weeks on vacation in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Following his return, the former APC national chairman is expected to commence a series of consultations and stakeholders meetings focusing on recent political developments in Kano State. A statement issued by his chief of staff, Muhammad Garba, stated that the engagements are aimed at reviewing the evolving political landscape and consulting widely with party leaders and critical stakeholders. Dr. Ganduje is also expected to go for the ongoing APC nationwide electronic membership registration, e-registration exercise, an initiative which he pioneered during his tenure as national chairman. The initiative was designed to modernize the party's membership database, enhance internal planning, and ensure that APC membership records are comprehensive, credible, and easily accessible. The statement added that the former governor remains committed to strengthening party structures and promoting inclusive dialogue in support of democratic consolidation within the APC, particularly in Kano State. The federal government has directed federal hospitals nationwide to enforce a no work, no pay policy on joint health sector unions JOHESU members participating in the ongoing strike, while ensuring emergency services remain operational. The directive, issued by the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and signed by the Director of Hospital Services, Dr. Disu Adejoke, takes effect from January 2026 and applies to all categories of staff involved in industrial action. Hospital managements were also instructed to protect staff willing to work, secure facilities, and submit regular reports on service delivery. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has appealed for calm among residents as the State House of Assembly moves forward with impeachment proceedings against him and his deputy. Speaking during a church service to mark the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the governor said his silence amid political distractions was deliberate, adding that he remains confident everything will work out. The impeachment move, which centers on allegations of gross misconduct and unauthorized spendings, marks the second attempt by lawmakers to remove Fubara since his emergence as governor in 2023, following his political fallout with his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. Meanwhile, the Rivers State House of Assembly has raised concerns over alleged moves by unnamed individuals to obtain court orders aimed at stopping the ongoing impeachment process against the governor and his deputy. The lawmakers say attempts to approach courts outside the Port Harcourt Judicial Division amount to an abuse of the legal process and a threat to constitutional order. The Assembly insists it will continue with the impeachment proceedings in line with the Constitution, urging all parties to respect the rule of law. The Nigerian Army says sustained military operations have significantly weakened bandit and terrorist activities in Zamfara State restoring confidence to residents and road users across the state. The commander of 1 Brigade Nigerian Army Gusau, Brigadier General Mustafa Jimo, disclosed this during the 2025 West Africa social activities held at the brigade headquarters in Gusau. Mukhtar Qasim has the details.
The 2025 West Africa social activities provided a platform for strengthening civil-military relations, bringing together soldiers, their families, and members of the host community in an atmosphere of unity and peace. The event featured vibrant cultural displays by various ethnic groups, including Igbo, Hausa Fulani, Yoruba, and Tiv, celebrating Nigeria's diversity and shared heritage. The commander of 1 Brigade, Brigadier General Mustafa Jimo, described the gathering as an opportunity to foster harmony between the military and civilians, while also boosting troop morale. Addressing journalists, the brigade commander reaffirmed that security operations have yielded tangible results, noting that incidents of banditry and terrorism have dropped significantly. He added that major highways and communities are now safer, allowing residents and commuters to move freely without fear.
The historical event we are gathered to witness this afternoon is one of the most cherished and enduring traditions in the Nigerian Army. The West African social activities date back to the era of the West African Frontier Force, when the British colonial commanders introduced a social forum into African military life. The initiative allows soldiers to showcase their rich cultural heritage, customs, and way of life.
Representing the Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, the Commissioner for Works Lawal Barau commended officers and men of 1 Brigade under Operation Fencing Yamma for their resilience, courage, and sustained efforts in combating insecurity across the state. He assured the military of the continued support and appreciation of the state government and the people of Zamfara.
As this event draws to a close, His Excellency reiterates the commitment of the Zamfara State government to continue collaboration and support with the Nigerian Army and other security agencies within available resources in the collective pursuit of lasting peace and development in the state.
The event also featured prize presentations to outstanding personnel and a spirited tug-of-war competition involving the Nigerian Army, Air Force, Navy, Department of State Services, and the Federal Road Safety Corps. The 2025 West Africa Social Activity.
Medical doctors across Edo State have commenced a strike following the abduction of their colleague, Dr. Ibrahim Babatunde, citing growing insecurity and fear for their lives despite assurances from security agencies that efforts are underway to secure his release. Industrial action has forced several hospitals across the state to operate at minimal capacity, leaving patients and their families distressed as access to essential and emergency medical care becomes increasingly limited. Doctors' leaders say the strike reflects a broader pattern of attacks on health workers nationwide and have urged authorities to urgently improve security to prevent further disruptions to health care delivery. An interdenominational service was held at the Government House Chapel in Owerri, Imo State, as Nigeria prepares to mark Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma calls for deliberate and sustained support for the families of fallen soldiers and security personnel. Governor Hope Uzodimma notes that peace and unity the country enjoys today come at a heavy cost. He emphasizes that remembrance must go beyond ceremonies, insisting that the welfare of bereaved families should be treated as a matter of national responsibility. The governor states that the Imo State government continues to support members of the Nigerian Legion and families of fallen heroes and urges individuals and organizations to also play their part.
on the need for an intentional policy by government and a charity display by individuals to look after those they left behind. In Imo State, I'll do my best to contribute the quota on behalf of the government of Imo State in ensuring that members of the Legion, members of the bereaved families are supported to the best of our ability.
At least 4 people have been killed after bandits attacked Damala village in Borgu local government area of Niger State. The attackers reportedly stormed the community in the early hours of Saturday, rustling cattle, killing residents and setting shops on fire before fleeing the area. Security agencies say a clearance operation is ongoing as efforts intensify to prevent further attacks and restore calm. And the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, has warned Nigerians who support terrorists and criminal groups that they will face the full consequences of their actions. Speaking at the Armed Forces Remembrance Golf Tournament in Abuja, Christopher Musa stressed that national security requires collective responsibility and citizen cooperation. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluede, also urged Nigerians to remain vigilant and support security agencies. You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, Super Eagles captain to miss Nigeria-Morocco semi-final AFCON clash. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the short break, and we begin with business, where equities market analysts say Nigeria's stock market is expected to maintain a positive outlook in 2026, supported by improved liquidity conditions and the resilience of key sectors, including banking and ICT. They noted that macroeconomic reforms and the anticipated listing of Dangote's petrochemical assets could further strengthen sentiment on the Nigerian exchange. The market opened 2026 strongly, with capitalization crossing 100 trillion naira and the all-share index rising nearly 3% within the first 3 trading days. And the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is expected to realize about 5.4 billion naira as service charges from the 2026 Hajj exercise, countering claims that the government does not benefit financially from the Hajj industry. An analysis of the 2026 Hajj fare package shows that each Nigerian pilgrim is charged 2% of the approved fare as a service fee payable to the CBN. With the Hajj fare fixed at about 7.6 million naira, each pilgrim is paying roughly 136,417 naira as service charge. This is based on an estimated 40,000 state pilgrims expected to participate in the 2026 Hajj. We move to the foreign scene, where streets across Uganda's capital, Kampala, have been flooded with campaign materials as the country prepares for its general election in the coming days. President Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled Uganda since 1986, is seeking re-election amid criticism over human rights abuses, suppression of opposition voices, and constitutional changes that removed term and age limits. The election will see Museveni face opposition candidate Bobi Wine, with rights groups warning of rising arrests and political repression ahead of the polls. And leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS bloc, have held talks with Guinea-Bissau's military junta on the release of detainees and a timeline for return to constitutional rule following the November coup. Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio and Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye also met detained and exiled opposition figures as discussions focus on political releases and the duration of the transition. The junta has resisted pressure for a swift handover, arguing that a longer security period is needed, while also expressing concern over a potential ECOWAS standby force. Meanwhile, fresh protests have broken out across Iran despite a nationwide internet shutdown, as rights groups warn that security forces are using lethal force to crush demonstrators that began over economic hardship and have now escalated into a direct challenge to the theocratic government of the country. Mukhtar Qasim has the details.
Demonstrators returned to the streets of Tehran, Mashhad and other major cities overnight, defying a heavy security presence and expanding communications blackout, now lasting more than 60 hours. Human rights organizations say the clampdown has intensified, with reports of rising death, mass arrest, and hospitals struggling to cope, even as authorities insist they are responding to vandalism and unrest. Amid de-escalating crackdown, Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's ousted Shah, urged Iranians to remain in the street and continue the protests, describing the moment as decisive for the country's future.
خیابان‌ها را رها نکنید. قلب و روحم با شماست و می‌دانم که به زودی در کنار شما خواهم بود.
With tensions rising and the government warning against foreign interference following comments by United States President Donald Trump, analysts say Iran is facing one of the most serious internal challenges to clerical rule in decades. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News. Demonstrators.
And on the sports scene, Nigeria will be without Captain Wilfred Ndidi for their Africa Cup of Nations semi-final clash against hosts Morocco after he was suspended for accumulating 2 yellow cards. The midfielder picked up his second booking of the tournament during Nigeria's quarter-final victory over Algeria, triggering an automatic one-match ban. Ndidi is expected to return for either the final or third-place playoff, depending on the outcome of the semi-final tie. 22 teams have secured qualification for the 4th round of the FA Cup following Saturday's 3rd round fixtures. Chelsea sealed their place with a convincing 5-1 victory over Charlton Athletic, while Manchester City recorded a dominant 10-1 win against Exeter City. Attention now turns to Sunday's fixtures, with several top-flight clubs still battling for progression. And as News Prime comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. We told you that the Nigerian Army has said that sustained military operations have significantly weakened bandit and terrorist activities in Zamfara State, restoring confidence to residents and road users across the state. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is expected to realize about 5.4 billion naira as service charges from the 2026 Hajj exercise, countering claims that the government does not benefit financially from the Hajj industry. And on the foreign scene, fresh protests have broken out across Iran despite a nationwide internet shutdown, as rights groups warn that security forces are using lethal force to crush demonstrations that began over economic hardship and have now escalated into a direct challenge to the theocratic government of the country. And finally, in sports, we told you that Nigeria will be without Captain Wilfred Ndidi for their Africa Cup of Nations semi-final clash against hosts Morocco after he was suspended for accumulating 2 yellow cards. And that's it on News Prime, but a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Shehu Said, wishing you a productive weekend.